Hey there, welcome to Manotick StringWorks. Glad to have you here. My name's Steve, and today on the bench we've got a 2019 made in Mexico Fender Stratocaster that the client dropped off. Basically wants a setup, float the trem, make sure everything's working okay, plays well. It's a pretty new guitar to him, so let's get at it. Alright. So here's a good bench shot of the Strat. Nice sunburst, always like those. So there's a shot of the trem. Client wants to float the trem. It's sitting on the body right now. So we'll fix that. Take the trem off so we can flip it over. Yeah, you can just see that the block is really pulled in far. You can't really get strings in there. You'd have to take the back plate off, which is fine. That's what we're going to do. Three springs, good setup. I like that. I always like to mark the original position of the claw when I get it. We'll check the setup, check the neck relief. Like to see 10 to 12 thousandths. This was nice. It was right around 12, just scraping the 12,000 gauge. And the action at the 17th fret was right around 5. Again, just scraping the gauge. Strats we like to see, well, between 4 and 5 thousandths. And the action at the first fret, right around 22,000. So all in all, the setup is quite good. So before I take the strings off, I'm going to put in this little setup stick, as I call it, for the trem. So this is just a tongue depressor, like a popsicle stick. It's about a 1/16 of an inch thick. So I'll just put the tremolo arm back on for a second. Press it down, lift up the bridge, and I'll just slide in that stick. And the spring tension's enough to hold it there, and that's what I want. I want to keep it at that position when I change the strings and put the new ones on. I prefer doing that to putting a block in the back. So let's take the strings off. However you like to do them, with a driver, by hand, with a little manual, little tool, whatever you like. I like to cut them off before pulling them through. You'll see that stick is still there, right? Because of the springs and the trem. So they're pulling the bridge back, especially with no string tension. So we want to keep that there while we do the string change and the initial setup. You'll see that the saddles, though, they're all straight across, so we definitely have to fix the intonation. So I'll do that right now. I'll do like a pre-adjustment. So Fender scale is 25.5 inches from the nut to the saddle. So usually that's the high E string, the first string you measure it to. And then just by eye, I'm going to back up the saddles to where I, pretty much know they should be in the ballpark. Done them a few times. So I like to do this just so you're not fooling around with these saddles while you've got the strings on as much, right? You're just doing minor adjustments. So there you can see that's more what a Fender intonation should look like. Give the fretboard a quick clean with some simple green or the cleaner of your choice. This guitar is very clean. It's not dirty at all, really. I'm going to use some fret erasers. 150, 180, 400, and 1000 grits. Gives them a good cleaning so they don't scrape when you're sliding those, doing a bend on the strings. And it gives them a light polish too, right? Gotta have a little paintbrush, look at that. Alright, some Dunlop 65 to condition the fretboard. Definitely should do this 2 or 3 times a year. Doesn't have to be every string change, but it depends on how dry things are, but generally 2 or 3 times a year should be fine. Remember, we're not soaking it, right? We're just conditioning it. So the client's going to put 10 to 46s. There were 9 to 42s on here, so a little heavier gauge. Let's pull these through the body. Again, you'll notice the stick is still stuck under the bridge because of the spring tension. These strings will have a little more tension on them than the 9s, right? So I'll have to take that into account when adjusting the trem. Just put a cloth on the body. Don't scratch anything up. So we'll get these strung up. Put them through the post hole. Put them by about a tuner and a half. I like to make a little kink. Make sure the wrap goes under the string that comes out of the post hole, and you should be good. So we'll leave these strings a little long for now. Like I'd clip, I don't crazy long, but leave them so there's enough to grab if you had to fix something. So I did all the other ones, so we're just on the first string now. Again, you can start with the first string, end on the 6th, or start with the 6th or the 1st, whatever you like. I had to raise that string tree up a touch. It was really screwed down. Bent down. Alright, so after the string change, of course, we tune. And then give the strings good stretching. I like to tune, give them a good stretch, and tune again, give them another good stretch. So it sort of shortens the time it takes to work the strings in, right? Whatever your technique, pull them up from the middle, halfway, 2 hands, 1 hand, as long as you're stretching them. The wound strings, need more stretching than the plain strings, of course. So you can see the tension of the 10s pulled up that block a little bit, right? Or not the block, but the stick. So I'm going to tighten those springs down just so it's holding that stick in place. There we go. That's better. I took the tape off, of course, after, but... Alright, so now we'll check the relief. Should be between 10 and 12 thousandths at the 7th fret. I think you could probably hear it scraping on the string, right? So that means it's less than 12 thousandths. But that's perfect. So that's going to be between 10 and 12. Check the nut action. 22 is acceptable, 20 is nice. And this one was right at 20. So that's perfect. 18 to 22 is within the range. It's usually good. And the string height should be about 4/64 at the 17th fret. So I'm using my gauges here. I like string height just a touch higher, so it usually ends up being right about 4.5 64s. I do this, and then I do check it with a ruler, using my magnifying lamp so I can see it better, but I do check it afterwards. But this is a lot faster getting the setup done without having to lift the guitar up and down, and use the magnifier. Make sure to use the right Allen key. You don't want to strip out any those set screws. So here I'm just going to loosen off the claw a bit until that setup stick just falls out. So then we should be balanced in a floating position. So you do a little, eighth of a turn at a time, quarter turn at the most. And eventually it's going to just slide out. There we go. Still in tune. And there we go. Now we're floating. So you can go flat, or you can go a little bit sharp, about a semitone sharp. Maybe a full tone. So we'll do an intonation check on my rough intonation, which turned out to be pretty good. Really, it was just the D string that was a little bit off, so gave that a little adjustment. So if it's a little bit flat and we want to shorten the string, right? So you move the saddle forward. Again, on a Strat, it's very easy to do. Moving forward, you don't have to loosen the string tension too much. I usually just pull the string up as I do it. If you're going backwards with the saddle, you definitely have to loosen the tension on the string. So that worked out well. And we'll put the back cover on. And I usually just start them with a screwdriver. It's magnetized tip, makes it a little easier for me to grab them. And then finish it off with the drill on a low clutch setting of about 5. So no real chance of stripping that out. So you see now the trem is actually accessible, like the strings. You can actually put the strings through there without taking the plate off. So pickup height, 1/8 on the bass side, 3/32 on the treble side. Again, it's a starting point. If you have a really hot pickup, you might want to lower it a little more than that. But generally, you're not going to get in trouble strumming with these measurements, whacking the string against the pickup, or it actually, with a magnetic field, actually pulling the string out of its natural sort of elliptical curve as it's being strummed. So I didn't check this initially. The client said there was no problem, but before it leaves, just double check that the electronics, the wiring's all working. No crazy buzzing sounds, static, and the switch works fine. That's good. All right, well, time to trim the strings, and we're all done with this one. Nice Strat. Can't really go wrong with a Sunburst Stratocaster. They set up well, play well, classic stuff. So thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe for more videos. I enjoy making them. Take care, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.